What's going on YouTube? Hope you're having a great day so far. Today I'm going to talk about a story how I made $4,500 in one day on eBay, or so I thought. I have had many successes on eBay as well as many failures, and today I'm going to be sharing a story about how I found JBL Charge 3 speakers for a discount of 85% off, which I was able to resell for a $150 profit on each individual item. But I will let you know there is a twist at the end, so stay tuned and I'm going to tell you the story now. So we're going to be going back to sometime in June of 2017. It was about 7 a.m. in the morning on a Sunday, which if you know me personally, I never wake up that early, but for some reason I happened to be up that day and I was on my phone looking at the internet trying to find a deal on something that I could buy and then later resell. That's whenever I came across these JBL speakers, and I found them on a website called DHgate. And if you've not ever been on if you have not ever been on to DHgate, or if you've never actually seen it before, basically what it is, it's a website where you can buy wholesale items from anywhere around the world. Most of the time the places that I would be buying from would be in China. I would get bulk items such as flashlights, knives, just different little trinkets, different items that I could buy in bulk and then sell for a lot more later. And in this instance, what I would do is I would actually go and find the suppliers. I would message them directly and try to get discounts for buying in bulk. So for example, if I was going to be buying, we'll just say, a bunch of different flashlights that would normally be sold for $10 a piece, I would make an offer of, say, $5 a piece. Sometimes they would accept it. Sometimes they would counter me at $7. But if you think about it, anytime you're buying, 100 items plus 1,000 items, $2, $3, $4 for each item is a huge discount. So it was a really great way to make money, and I was able to stock up on a lot of items that I was able to sell later for a good profit. So the items that I actually bought that I'm going to be talking about in this video are the JBL Charge 3 speakers. They're wireless, they are waterproof, you can have them in the shower with you. They're great speakers, and back in 2017 they were still relatively new, so they were very popular, and I knew that they'd be an easy item to sell. They were selling for around $200, anywhere from $180 to $230 is what they were selling for on eBay at the time. So I knew that if I could get these, I could at least get $200 a piece. And the ad that I had found, they were selling them for $50 a piece, which, if you do the math on that, between 50 and 200, what's that, 150 a piece? $150 a piece on each individual item, and I was only going to have to spend $50 on these items, so it was a huge deal. I got really excited whenever I saw this, so the first thing I did, and I didn't even think that this was going to work, is I offered to make a discount, or actually I countered the seller on it. I said, hey, I'll buy these for $30 a piece, thinking that he probably wouldn't even respond, and then I could just pay the $50. And all along I would have paid the $50 on these items anyways, just because the profit was so big. So I sent him the message. I sat and I waited, and then eventually I got a notification saying that he may be interested in selling depending on how many of them I wanted to buy. So I thought, okay, well, how many of these would I be willing to buy to be able to go and resell? So I had a credit card at the time that was 0% interest. So what I did is I figured that I could put it on the 0% interest credit card, since the money is essentially free as long as I'm making the payments and I pay the actual credit card off before I start getting interest charges. So what I did is I messaged him and I said, hey, I would be willing to buy 100 of these. How many do you have? I can buy 100 of them. I'll pay $30 a piece and I'll make the order right now. I sat and waited. He finally messaged me back and said that he had 1,000 of them. So I said, okay, if you'll do the $30 a piece, I'll buy 100 now. And he replied with a yes. So that's whenever I went ahead and I ordered all these speakers. And I mean, I was as excited as you could possibly imagine. I mean, if you think about it, but now the profit margin's even higher, between $30 to $200. That's $170 a piece on each individual item. So apparently it was going to take about 2 weeks for these to actually come in, and anytime you order from DHgate and it's from China, usually it takes a little while. I've noticed sometimes it can take up to a month whenever you order something off of DHgate, but it said it was going to take about 2 weeks. So I sat and waited, and eventually the package came in, and as soon as it came in, I knew exactly what it was. It was a huge box, had all of the items in there, and I grabbed my knife, I opened it up, checked them, made sure that they were good, they were all fine. And then I just took a bunch of pictures of them and I posted them up for sale on eBay at $200 a piece. Alright guys, so I had the items posted up on eBay, and it didn't take very long for me to get my first notification. And if you haven't ever sold an item on eBay before and you have the actual app downloaded on your phone, anytime you sell an item, it makes the most satisfying noise you could possibly imagine. I'll try to find the sound effect and insert it right here. So hopefully I found the sound effect and you guys heard it, but every single time you sell something on eBay, that's the noise that you hear. It's freaking awesome. It's like, it's just intoxicating. You hear the noise and it's just like, it's the sound of money, you know. But anyways, so it didn't take very long. I got a cha-ching on my phone. I picked it up, I looked, I went and I tried to open up the app. Before I could even open up the app, guys, I got another cha-ching. And then I opened it up, I saw I had 2 of them sold, and then another one, and then another one. And it just kept going on and on and on and on. And then this went on for about 3 hours. And then by the end of the night, I want to say I sold somewhere between 30 and 35, probably like 32, 33 of them in one single day. So if you do the math, you know, $150 plus profit on each of them. And some of the offers that I took, people would actually make a counter, say they countered for 190, 180, and I was taking everything. I mean, really anything over like $70 was profit at this point, because eBay, they charge, at least at the time, I don't know what they charge now, but at the time it's $10, or I'm sorry, 10% off of the whole amount. So if you sell something for $100, it's, you know, they take $10, and then PayPal charges 1%, and then there's a couple of other fees. And then at least for me, I was doing free shipping on the items, so I was paying for the shipping, and I want to say the shipping was somewhere around $7 or something like that. So really anything over 70 was just gravy, you know. But I was selling them for 180, 190, 200, you know, all day long, and I ended up selling, like I said, about 32, 33 of them in that one night. So that night, what I did is I went and I got all my my packaging materials, and it was really easy because they were all exactly the same. I wasn't having to box up multiple different items. They were all the same. So I wrapped them in bubble wrap. I put them inside of a box. I taped them up. Once they were all taped up, I individually printed all the shipping labels. I had a printer that would print out shipping labels with like a sticker, and it was a whole sheet of paper that was a sticker, and then that way I could just print it off and then peel off the actual label and just slap it on. It made it super easy if I ever had to ship out like 10, 15 items in a day, or in this example, 30 items plus. It made it so much easier. So I did that. I had them all ready to go. I put them out at the front door, and the next morning I was going to open, you know, not open, but I was going to put them outside, open the door, put them outside for the UPS person to come and pick them up. So I mean, I was literally ecstatic. I mean, I think I did the math on this a minute ago. It was like $4,500 or something that I had made in one day, which is just ridiculous. You know, that tops my best days probably by 10 times. I think the most I had sold or profited in one day was $500 before this point, and $4,500, that is a lot of money, you know. And just the fact that this guy has 1,000 of them, I was just sitting there thinking and playing through my head. I'm like, okay, all I gotta do is sell all of these. Once they're all sold, I can make another order and potentially buy the rest of them. You know, I didn't have $30,000 to spend on all of these speakers, but I mean, between a few credit cards, you know, probably borrow some money from my dad or some friends or something, I could probably come up with the 30 grand to buy all of these speakers, you know. And you do the math, you know, 1,000 times 150, $150,000, that's a lot of money. So anyways, I was excited as could be. I mean, just imagine. I mean, it was just so crazy. But I went to bed that night, and then this is where the story starts to turn. All right, guys. So this is what happened. I pull up my phone the next morning. I'm getting ready to go and, you know, put these items on the porch so that way they can come and be picked up. And I get a notification from DHgate, and if I remember correctly, I think this notification I had it on my phone since I ordered, but I never noticed it. So I don't think that the seller was doing anything underhanded. I think this was 100% David. I think this was 100% my fault. Well, I mean, it is my fault because it was my money that I was playing with, but you get the point. I don't think that the seller was trying to do anything wrong. I went and I looked at the message, and it said that they were replicas. So all of these speakers that I had just sold were high quality replicas. They were not real JBL speakers. So at this moment, excuse me, I had to make a decision. I'm like, okay, well, what do I do? You know, and for like a half a second, you know, my greediness kicked in, and it was like, oh, come on, just go ahead and sell them. You know, you've got 100 of them. You can sell them, and you can make, you know, what is that, $15,000? You can make $15,000 on these items. You know, and I thought about it for half a second, but I didn't even really consider it. You know, I had to do what was right. I went and I canceled all the orders. You know, I messaged eBay. I told them, and this was painful, guys, because I went from thinking that I was going to be making, you know, $100,000 potentially on all these items to having nothing. You know, and really all along, you know, everybody always says that their hindsight is 20/20. It's funny because I've told this story a couple times to people in person, and you know how there's always that guy that's like, oh, well, you should have checked to make sure that they were real. Oh, you know. And he's probably right. The person that says that is probably right. You know, I should have checked. I should have thought of it. But I don't know about you guys, but for me, I've made plenty of mistakes. This is one of many mistakes that I've made in my life. And it just happens. I'm sure I'll make more mistakes like this in the future, but I probably won't make this same mistake again. And it did cost me some money, you know. And now that I think about it, I think he did message me before I actually purchased it, telling me. And I was just so excited that I went ahead and bought him anyways. I didn't even look at the message, you know, the message chat box or whatever. And what I did was I thought about sending them back, but I kind of chopped it up as a learning experience, and I kept all the speakers, and I was like, you know what? You know, they're good speakers. They work good. They basically, they're the same as the real ones. They're just not authentic. You know, so I'll you know, if I got some buddies that want to buy a couple, I'll sell them, you know, for 10, 15 bucks or whatever, get some of my money back. You know, if I end up with some more after nobody wants to buy them, I'll just give them away. You know, and that's what I did. I ended up giving them all away. I think I gave one to my mother-in-law, gave one to my dad. I kept one. I think I gave one to my wife, but she was my girlfriend at the time. Yeah, so I mean, I found homes for all of them, but it would have been nice to make the money. It really would have been, but it's just a learning experience. You know, I'm sure, like I said, I'll run into plenty of those in the future, but I'm just rambling at this point. I appreciate you guys. If you like these story videos, I have plenty more. Unfortunately, I have a lot more failures than I do victories, but hopefully you guys can learn from this. Hopefully you found it entertaining. Be sure to hit the like button and then hit the subscribe button if you guys want to see more videos like this. And that's it. Talk to you later. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.